Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. A little while back I started a series of 10 videos and posted the first one. Apologies for the delay for this next one to come out, but life is pretty busy and I promised that I wouldn't set any time pressure on myself and I would just put the videos out within the rhythm of life sort of thing. So that's what I'm aiming to do. I do intend to get all the 10 videos done. So most of the time I hope that there won't be any delay between each videos and I can be pretty prolific with it, but it's been quite a busy time recently, so I'll forgive myself for that, even if nobody else will. In today's video, I would like to talk about the working world from my perspective as somebody living with PKU. So let's get into it, yeah? Before I share any details of my work history, it's worth pointing out that at the age of 16, when I was entering the working world, I was actually off diet and had been for a few years by that point. I didn't yet know how high phenylalanine levels affect me, but I've since learned those lessons. The things I should have been on the lookout were brain fog, anxiety, concentration lapses, and negative and critical self-talk. There's reasons behind the negative and critical self-talk, and it's quite self-explanatory if you're experiencing brain fog and concentration lapses, and you're feeling the pressure of anxiety in the environment that you find yourself in, and the demands that you put on yourself, and sometimes that people might unconsciously be putting on you themselves as well, you know. My first job after school was being a sign maker. I think I was actually taken on as a young computer whiz kid and sat in front of the computer to design the graphics on the computer for it to be cut out into vinyl and then later made into the signs, you know. But I think that the brain fog that I was experiencing with being off diet and the anxiety of that I was feeling, and the pressure that I was feeling on with the task being put onto us, and lack of confidence, and all this brought that negative critical self-talk that I mentioned in that as well. So it was actually really pressurized when it didn't really need to be, you know. It didn't need to be, and I proved to myself that I could do it, you know. I don't think I proved that to my manager at all, and he didn't have any faith in me at all, because as time went on, I got moved from the computer to the sign making desk, and where I would start applying the vinyl to the sign boards and making up the graphics, and I could do that as well, but I just couldn't. It was like the pressure of particularly my manager, you know. It was just difficult. I was there for 2 years, and I could be useful at times, but I was a bit clumsy, and I really lacked confidence. And see, when you're experiencing brain fog and you're given instructions, you sometimes just can't really you can't really take those instructions on board the way that you would like to. Things are not crystal clear in your mind, and then you sit down to get on with the task, knowing that you've been given full instructions, and you would look like an absolute wally if you stood up and you were like, "Oh, look, I'm sorry, I just didn't get this," like. and if you did that too regularly, you know, you just make yourself look like a fool. So I kind of struggled through the work. Sometimes I did okay, but I didn't prove myself to be competent. I did enough for it to be useful, but I didn't thrive. It was the interpersonal relationships that fueled me anxiety. And then while all this is happening, I'm obviously speaking to myself in my mind in quite unkind ways, and it's a kind of a vicious circle that keeps you from thriving, you know. So that's the top and bottom of it, and that's the experience that I was having. Yeah, so let's talk about why I know that I had capabilities. I've never been like a sort of goody two shoes kind of character, you know. But anyway, I got the materials from work. Somebody asked us for to put the crest, the badge of me local football club on their window. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll get the stuff from work and we'll do that for you. And it was like, I put the sign on, I put the graphics on the window, and it was like one colour on top of the next colour on top of the next colour, and each layer had to be perfectly arranged, like in scale and the placement for the picture to be accurate, for it to be as it should be. Got this the graphics on it, looked great, you know. And then a family member of theirs asked for one as well, so I did one for them as well. And then on the back of that, I was asked by a local hairdresser, because word got around from them speaking about it, and I went, oh well, I need a sign put outside. Is he able to come and put a sign out? And the asked us, and I was like, well, okay. I went to have a look, and I was like, well, I'll do it for 50 quid, you know. So I got the stuff from work again, and I just needed to put the graphics on. There was already a board there, you know. So I'm not sure whether I could drive at that point. I started driving when I was 17. I think I could drive, yeah, but I didn't have a roof rack on my car. I borrowed a ladder, and I carried this ladder up the main road, you know. Just everybody's going shopping on this main shopping street, and I'm walking up there, 17-year-old with a ladder on my shoulder, propped it up against this hairdresser and put this graphics on, you know. But so there's me out doing the job, and in the comfort of me own company, and not dealing with the pressures that come from the workplace, and the judgment, and the obvious doubt that was coming from my manager, and you know. So that's one scenario where I knew I could do it, but I just couldn't deal with the workplace, like, you know. And that's down to the effects of high phenylalanine levels at that time. Now, I moved on from that job. I went to a large car company. I was working for Reg Vardy. My mum helped us get this job. She was the personal assistant to the company director, and she had friends around the company, and she was very well respected. And I was given the job. I was working in an office in this role, and I was doing duties on the computer and filing and stuff like that. But my mind was just not in the right place. Like, this was worse. Like, in this place, it was worse. Me thoughts, I just felt myself. I'd even been pulled in the office, and the manager of the whole, like, branch that I was working at, he says, you're glazing over all the time. You're not performing in your role. You're falling behind on things, and I was like, yeah, I know. Like, I says, look, I've got this thing. It's called phenylketonuria, and I'm not on diet at the moment, and I think I should give it a shot and see how things are. I tried to get on diet. I couldn't. Well, I did try, but I didn't. I don't think I was giving myself enough calories or something, and I went lightheaded and couldn't get right, you know. I got put in the warehouse, but which was better, you know. I was doing okay-ish, but quite often I might not, when I was picking orders, I might not be able to find a part that I was looking for, a car part. So I would come through to the office, say, it might have been a Renault part. So I'd come to somebody from the Renault desk and I'd be like, oh, look, got this part here. It's not there. I kind of find it like, and they would come through with this and they'd find it straight away. And you're like, oh, for God's sake. So there's these situations that just build up the anxiety and the pressure and the feelings of failure. And it's just such very hard reality that to be living through, you know. And I felt ashamed because my mum helped us get that job, and everybody would have expected the son of the PA, the personal assistant of the director of the company, I was not only letting myself down, but I felt as though I was letting my mum down as well at the time. That was really demoralizing. So I know this is not positive talk, and it's not all dead light and airy, and I'm not talking about thriving and like success and stuff like that, but I need to be real. I need to tell the full story. And I mean, I could stick with the success story, but you need details, you know. People in the community need to understand deeper than just skimming across the surface. Anyway, I went on. I had a few jobs from there a little bit later on that I did well in. I was in a tile showroom a few years later, and I was working out the area that people were covering with their tiles, with the measurements that they give, is to sell them the right amount of tiles and the right amount of materials to do the job, and do a bit of warehouse work. So it was like serving customers and keeping stock, and I did well with that. The owners of the company were very good. They were kind, good people, and I felt valued and trusted, and I had great relationships with the people who I worked with there. So I had some great fun, and that made a difference. I didn't feel judged, and I was performing well in the role, you know. So I had 2 good years there, and then I left that place to become a tiler. I worked for a company, and I also worked self-employed. I was good at tiling. I could even like include a picture of some tiling work into this video just now, if I decide to. But I was working by myself, and I wasn't put off by huge jobs, you know. And you know what? There was once a time, I was 22, I think, 22, and I went to tile a huge floor in the kitchen, and had like an island in the kitchen. I was tiling the floor. I went to measure up, and I told the customer how many tiles that they need and stuff like that, gave them a price, and she got in touch with the company who I was working for, and she had major doubts about whether I could manage that job because it was a big job, and she says to her, look, yeah, this guy that we're putting in there, he's a tiler, he's experienced, he's been working with us for a good lump of time, and we know his work. You should have confidence in him. But the reason that she had doubts was because I was off diet, and I didn't have the sort of character that a typical workman would have. You know, the stereotypical tradesman would be to go in there, be kind of like a bit of a Jack the Lad, full of yourself sort of attitude. But I went in there, and I was very humble, and I was just, you know, I wasn't what she was expecting. But anyway, at the end of that job, I finished the tiling. It was all good quality, good quality work, you know. And she said she was when I first started the job, she was all, oh, the kitchen fitter this, the kitchen fitter that, and blah blah blah. And it was because the kitchen fitter was an older, experienced guy, and he had that Jack the Lad sort of charisma sort of thing. By the end of the job, when all the work was finished, she had problems with the kitchen fitter's work, and she was chatting to me about it. And I says to that customer, I says, I'm your favourite work guy now, aren't I? you had doubts about me at the beginning, but yeah, I think I've won you over, and you're actually disappointed with the kitchen fitter, aren't you? And she admitted it, like, you know. So yeah, and me temperament, me character, that she was that kind of concerned her in the beginning. That would have been. I was living through brain fog and like self-doubt and that, you know, and I wasn't a confident guy in many ways, you know, but I knew that I could do the job, and because I was working in somebody's home, I was working on my own. I wasn't being judged, criticised in a sign maker or in a sign maker's place or in an office environment, and that enabled me to thrive because I was by myself. So that's tiling. What else have I done? I've worked in call centres as well. I've had some good and bad some good experiences and some bad experiences in call centres. One in particular was a company called NRAM, it's Northern Rock Asset Management, and it was I was dealing with customers who were being repossessed from their homes, and or legal action taken for repossession to possibly take place if they don't make an arrangement to pay back their arrears. So it was debt collection over the phone, really, and it was quite intense, the conversations, you can imagine, you know. I was off diet still when I started that job. I think I started that job when I was 26 or 27 or something. Had a difficult start. My manager that I had at the time, he didn't really have much faith in me, and didn't really seem to respect as much either. Probably because he probably could see that I wasn't very confident, and I think some people can be a little bit harsh, a little bit critical, a little bit judgy. It's almost as though they get something from putting people down. But at the time when I switched from him being my manager to a different manager, I actually got back on diet at that time as well. So it was like a double win. I got a great team leader she was a very good listener, and she allowed us to almost self-manage myself, and I'm happy to do that. I don't run away from responsibility. If I do something wrong, I'll put my hand up, and I'll you know, and she knew that, and so I wasn't hiding from anything. But my performance really kicked off from there at work, you know, and I became a good performer in the place. And so from there, I went to the AA, and I did direct sales. So I was standing outside of shopping centres and in town centres, and I was selling breakdown cover to the general public. So, and that I was good at that. I was decent, you know. There was the really top sellers, and I was always just like kind of just a little way off them. You know, I was like, you might get like 50 sales in a month, and I might be up the bag of 40 kind of thing, you know, something like that. So I wasn't that far away from them. But again, I was I was working in a role that I was left by myself. I was almost managing myself, and I did have a monthly meeting with my manager on my performance and stuff like that, and we reviewed how things are going and what I could be doing for to improve on what I'm doing and stuff like that. But I turned up at the venues on my own. I got on with the job on my own. The relationships that you have with customers, they're not, the customers are not criticised, they're not judging your performance. So it's comfortable conversations, you know, and so the workplace environment was actually very friendly for me. And plus I was on diet, so the clarity of mind to have sharpness in your conversations and giving myself a better chance to thrive, and just breeds positivity in your mentality. So that job was a success, and from there I've done a few jobs just to kind of get by, just to pay me way. Just wanted to see from the days when I was in a call centre, when I got back on diet, I realised that I had a new potential. I've got a clarity of mind, and I've got like a sense of ambition. I just knew that, with this new mentality, there's new possibilities. So I started a degree, and I started doing things that I was interested in. Like I liked being on stage and in front of people, and so I tried stand-up comedy. I did that on quite a regular basis for about a year. The first two were very pressured, very pressurized. Like the venues were absolutely heaving, and you're on stage alone, and you've got your script all in your mind, and you're churning it out, and it's not like I did all right. The first one was a competition, and I came third out of 7 acts and won a bottle of wine. So I'm quite proud of that, you know. I can kind of say, well, that wasn't a failure, you know, and I made people laugh, and what a great feeling for to be stood up there and actually have that impact on people, you know. And so I thought, I'm going to do this again, and I had the opportunity because there was this charity thing going on in not far from where I was living at the time. So I went to this charity thing again. It was in a pub, and it was absolutely heaving. It was a night of comedy, and I got up, and it went well. I had the place laughing. I won them over. There was one part of the act where I forgot what was coming next, and I had to check my script. I did so, and I got on with it, and I quickly recovered, and everything was fine. When I did experience like a forgetfulness on stage, I always, in my mind, is that PKU? Is it because I've been off diet? Is that why I can't? Is that why I forget? I sometimes forget what's coming next, or did I just not rehearse? Well, I did rehearse, but did I not rehearse enough? Should I rehearsed more at home? So, but there's always that doubt. And that's the thing. Even when you're on diet, you're always like, would I have been better, or would I be able to get through the entire script without any problems, much sharper, much faster, much more effective? Would I be a better performer had I not been off diet in those years? And you question yourself as well. You're like, well, how's my protein levels at the moment, right now, I mean, there's no use doing a blood test, sending it off. You'll get the results in 2 weeks' time or something like that. That's no good. What are they like right now? Is my mentality in the right place for to jump on stage now? You know, because there's been times over that year where I was doing stand-up comedy where I got up there and I didn't feel it, and what I learned was that I never considered myself to ever become a stand-up comedian. It was just something that I was interested in, and but what I learned was when I feel it, when I feel like I've got good energy and I feel like having a laugh and it's good vibes and that, you know, I can do it, and it'll come out, and I'll more than likely I'll be able to get laughs. But sometimes I might not be feeling it. I might turn up and be like, oh, I don't feel great. Not really feeling like I'm on the ball for this at the moment, you know. And there was one time where it was like pulling teeth, and oh god, I just died a death from start to finish. And that may have been PKU. It might have been. I was on diet, but it's just, I suppose that you never really know where you're at. You just stick to the diet. You do your best, and you think, well, I'm now having to get up and go on stage or do whatever that I'm doing, and you just hope that you're right. Okay, I'm in a good frame of mind, and let's get it done. But yeah, all you can do is just stick to the lifestyle, you know. And but one thing's for sure, I would not have been doing those things. I would not have been getting up. And you know what I'm most proud of? I never ever mean to say, look, I've done stand-up comedy, and I think, you know, I'm not trying to put myself out there as like a comedian. I mean, I don't even consider myself as somebody who really like wants to be doing that anymore. That was back then. That was over 10 years ago, you know. But what I'm most proud of about that is that I was brave enough to do it. I was brave enough to get on the stage and put myself under that much pressure to actually make them laugh. And it was a lot of it was self-written. More, well, it had to be, really, you know. But once I hit the open mic places, yeah, it all had to be self-written. But it was the courage. That's what I'm proud of. Because when I was off diet, I couldn't get my head straight. The brain fog. Imagine if I put myself on stage when I was having that brain fog and the pressure build up of your environment. I just wouldn't have been able to get into that space where you can just think about your script, about the rhythm of the words, and you just know it and you just see it and you're bouncing off people. You know, you're looking at the audience and you can see them. You see that you've got them. You've got them. You know, and it's very quite addictive. Nice. You know, really great experience. But it's the courage that I'm most proud of, because I didn't always have that. I didn't always have the mentality, and even though it's not something I'm doing these days, I am proud that I've done it, particularly because of the experiences that I had in the years where I wasn't following treatment. Yeah, and I took on some jobs that I just pay the bills. All I wanted to do was, I was actually dissatisfied with the workplaces. You know, there was some jobs that I thrived in and I did well in, and those are the ones where I'm just left to it. I don't like being in a working environment where everything's happened everyone's on top of each other and you're being micromanaged. Oh, can't be micromanaged. I need to be given a certain amount of freedom in my role to really feel like, yeah, I can just get on with it, and I can be confident. I don't like being micromanaged now. I've been back on diet since I was 28. So I'm 41 now. It's been a good while. That's just how I am, and that kind of moves us on to me last little bit, actually, you know. So I'll explain why I'm doing what I'm doing these days. I'm now a support worker, and I'm working with adults with disabilities. The reasons why I'm doing that is, again, it comes down to the freedom that you get in that role. While I was doing my degree, towards the end, I was working in a school, and I was thinking, well, I'll soon have a degree in English literature, and I think probably teaching is maybe the only, well, there's not that many mainstream jobs that can come from an English literature degree. It's a creative sort of thing more than anything, because it was like English literature creative writing that I graduated with. And I was thinking, well, should I go into teaching? So I was considering that while I was working in this school. But I just felt like, I just continued support working, because you get a lot of freedom in your role, and I like that. If I went into teaching, I considered the sort of environment that I would be working in, and the potential micromanagement that could happen, and I'm 41 now. I was feeling ambitious a few years ago when I was doing my degree. I thought, get this degree done, and that'll turn a huge corner, and I'll just be able to land a great career, and I'll see the rest of my work life out. I'll be well paid, I'll be doing something I love, and I'll get off that bottom rung of the working ladder. That means that you're the one being micromanaged. You know, I get above that and just be like, oh, right, okay, now I've got a bit of leeway now. You know, I've had a job recently, actually, and it was at a car rental place. Very pressured, and there was like a management graduate scheme that I was involved in, you know, but wrong environment. I was on diet, wrong environment, and I was there for about 6 months, and by the end of that 6 months, kind of drove us into the ground a bit, you know. Wrong environment, wrong people. Not for me. So at the moment, support work it is, you know, and, you know, I have got hopes for the future. I would like to be doing something with my degree, whether or not that comes from an opportunity that falls me away from the working world that works for me. I had thoughts about writing a book lately, and I've got a project in mind that I'm proposing to the PKU as well. So just see if anything comes of that, and see if they feel that that's going to be a good idea. So I've got things that I want to push on with, but in terms of work ambition, the thing to consider is that when you're young is when you should be graduating from university, not when you're knocking on the door of 40. The reasons being is that if you've went 18 years off diet and you've had experiences over those years that's made life more difficult, particularly in the workplace, by the time you get your degree, and by the way, when I was studying, I was balancing full-time work with university studies at the same time. Like, you can feel a certain amount of burnout, you know, and it's like, oh, why would I want to put myself into those work environments, you know, like, don't want to put myself through that. And you also think like, well, I'm in my 40s now. Would the employer really want to take someone on who's in their 40s, when they could be taking on like somebody in the 20s who's fresh and full of energy, and you know, and I know this is quite negative, but I'm not doing these videos for to just sprinkle fairy dust on people, you know. I want to be real. I would like to be doing something where I'm using my degree. I want to make videos and write, but I think that if I'm going to do those things, then I'd have to do them freelance or whatever, you know, like that kind of thing. Be given work and just leave us with the project. I'll get it done. But that's the way that things are working out for us, like.